Okay, good morning, everybody. Ciao. Thanks for joining me in the lounge room. Had to rearrange a bit of furniture, but got here in the end. Okay, so this is a pre-recorded video today because you're all out and about, work, riding bikes, or doing your own thing at the moment. So I'm pre-recording this and I will send you the link later on. Right, first up. I know some of you have done some yoga before. I know some of you have not done a lot. So if you're a little newer to the practice, just go with it. Do what you can. Don't worry about what you can't. I will always offer you modifications in the poses. But the classes, the way I'm planning on running them, are designed for cyclists, obviously, but I'm going to keep them quite simple. There's not going to be lots of fancy poses. They're not the way I teach anyway, but just to keep it simple and really focus on the areas that we as cyclists tend to give a bit of a bashing. I'm just going to keep them fairly simple. And for the first few weeks, I'll mix things up a little bit and see what people like. Today's class is predominantly going to be a little bit of strength work. And with some longer holds towards the end. I find that those sort of classes work really well, and if you like those going forward, that's what we'll do. Sometimes we could mix it up and do some more restorative / yin type poses, so much softer practice, a much stiller practice from time to time, and then sometimes we'll make it really strength based the whole time. So I'm just going to mix it up. Sometimes we might really target a particular area throughout the class, body part, whether it's the shoulders or the hips or the hamstrings or something like that. Today's class though is a bit of an all-rounder, so you can just get a bit of a taste of everything. So just go with it. And if you read my guff as well, there's always going to be a little bit of breath work in the classes, and also a deep relaxation at the end. So as far as props are concerned for today, if you have a pillow or a blanket, you might want to grab that and have that handy. And I've got a yoga block here. It's quite a big yoga block, but you don't need to have one that big. If you've got a stack of books or a really thick book, that will assist you. None of them are really necessary though, so don't stress if you don't have any of those handy. They will assist you in your practice, but they're not an absolute requirement. And for today's practice, really don't need anything. But if you've got them handy, take a moment and grab them and come back to your mat or wherever you're seated. And if you do have some sort of prop, whether it's a pillow, a block, or a book, or even your blanket, you're going to sit on that to start off with. So you'll come up onto the block and take the block underneath your sit bones. Okay, so you're not actually sitting right back on it, and same for the pillow or a blanket. Just taking the block to the edges of the sit bones. A blanket is really just a matter of maybe rolling it up a couple of times, and the same thing, you can sit back on the blanket. All the blanket or the block or the pillow does is just gives your hips a little bit of height so that the knees can come down, and there's a slight tilt in the pelvis. Again, if you don't have any of those things, it doesn't really matter though, so don't stress. I'm going to sit up on my block. And then once you've got your prop, find your seat and just take a comfortable seat, whatever that looks like for you. My knees come comfortably down, but that may not be the case for you. Doesn't matter whether the left shin or the right is in front. There's no right or wrong. So just take a moment to get settled. Let your hands rest on your thighs, on your knees. Adjust your clothing as you need. Adjust your hair if you need. And then close your eyes. And from here, I really want you to feel your sit bones, whatever it is that you're sitting on. And you might be on a soft surface, so it might be a little more difficult to do. But just feeling for the sit bones and grounding down through the sit bones, the bones in your bottom. And then lift up out of the crown of the head. So really lengthen through the spine. So think about a little piece of string that's attached to the crown of your head, right in the center of your head, and it's lifting you up towards the sky. So you're really nice and straight in your seat. And you may even want to just move around a couple of times in little circles in one direction, doesn't matter which way, and then move in the other, and just really finding your sit bones. It helps you to really center yourself on your sit bones. You can do that a couple of times in either direction or both directions, and then come back into stillness. And just breathe as you would without even thinking about it. Try to relax your hands, relax your face. Allow your shoulders to soften away from your ears. And breathe. This little bit of quiet time gives you an opportunity to come out of whatever it is that you've done today. So you're coming out of where you've been and you're just dropping into your quiet place and letting the distractions of your day slip away as you bring your awareness to your breath. From here, take a full breath in through the nose, big breath in. Keep the mouth closed and take a long breath out. This time, inhale for a count of 4, 3, 2, and 1. Then exhale for a count of 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, inhale for a count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for a count of 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And again, inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue on in your own time. Inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 6. If you sort of mess it up or get lost, just start again. No one is there to see or judge you. You're in your own space, so no one's going to know whether you mess it up. No one can hear whether you mess it up. So don't give yourself a hard time if you get it mixed up, and just start again. And after your next exhale breath, take one more full round and then just come back to a normal breath. Your eyes still closed. And then from here, just fluttering your eyes open. Nice work. And from here, we're going to come on to our hands and knees in a moment. We're going to do a couple of poses up to start off with that start to open up the back line of the body. So when I say the back line of the body, I'm talking about a line that runs up from the back of from your toes all the way up the back of the legs, goes all the way up the spine, and eventually comes around to the crown of the head. Today, really though, we're sort of just going to be focusing on the legs a little bit in these poses, sort of just to start activating the tissue and the fascia in those areas. And the first one's up is called a toe stretch. Now, some of you who practice, I know Gillian's doing the class at some stage today, and Gillian may have done this with me before in at the studio that I teach at. It's a toe stretch, and I'm going to be honest, straight up, it is quite intense, but there are a couple of ways that you can back that intensity off or ease the intensity. You're not here for a super long time, but it is intense. But it's a beautiful stretch because it opens up the toes. And obviously when we're wearing shoes, and particularly cycling shoes, our feet are squashed in those shoes and can be in there for quite a long time. So it's really nice to spread them. And this is where that back line starts. It starts back in the toes. So for the moment, you're going to come onto your knees and just sit back on the ankles if that's possible. And then if you've got a block or a book or something that will double as a block, you're going to place that in front of you because you may or may not need to use that. From here, you're going to come up onto your knees and you're going to tuck your toes, tucking the toes. And you may even want to spread your toes as far apart as you can. And then you're going to sit back onto your heels. This is where the intensity starts. Now, the reason for the block or the book or whatever it is that you've got, and if you don't have one, it doesn't really matter because you can also take the weight out of the toes, and I'll show you in a moment. The reason the block or the book works is that you can rest your hands onto the block or the book in front of you and take a little bit of weight out of the heels and still get that stretch. So if you find this particularly really super intense and you're just like, oh my God, how am I going to stay in this? Just lean into your prop. And if you don't have a prop, you can just you can just come down onto the hands. It won't be as intense. And you'll still get a stretch, but it's nowhere near as going to be as intense. From here as well, just try to keep your ankles together. They will want to splay out to the sides. So try to keep them in close together. So find your position, using a prop or not. I have to use a prop because I do have an issue with one of my feet and it doesn't really like this pose. So I just find that by taking a little bit of weight out of it, it takes that intensity out. So just setting yourself up. Once you've set yourself up, close your eyes and just come into the same breath that we were using, not the count breath, the inhale of 4 and the exhale of 6, but just a nice soft breath as we did at the very start there when we sat down. And bring your awareness to your breath and try to take the awareness away from your feet, from your toes. And every time your mind starts to play some little tricks on you, like this is too hard, how am I going to stay here? Use your breath. Or you may even just want to think about it like a long climb or a hard ride that you're on. You do it on the bike, so there's no reason you can't do it here on your mats. You're not here, as I said, for a super long time, so go with it as best you can. Of course, I should have said at the start of the class, if at any time you do need to rest or skip a pose, you're more than welcome to do that. You can come down into child's pose. For the moment, keep breathing. Few more breaths here, inhaling and exhaling. Big breath in, big breath out. One more, full breath in and a full breath out. This time, just coming onto your hands, placing your prop if you're using one to one side, and then very gently move slowly. You're going to untuck your toes, and you may want to just give your feet a little tap on the top of the feet, up and down, to release those toes. You could also sit back onto your heels and lift your knees up, and you'll just get a little counter stretch, taking the toes in the opposite direction. Whatever works for you though. Again, there's no right or wrong. And then coming back down onto your heels again. Nice. Hope you can sort of feel that in the toes. They might feel a little stiff to start off with, but it just stimulates all the nerves and particularly a tissue, deep connective tissue called fascia in the feet, which, as I said, gets really stuck and stagnant because our feet are generally jammed in shoes. So it's just starting to activate the nerves and the fascia in the feet to stimulate, get them working. From here, we're going to come into a calf. It's not really a stretch. I would sort of describe it more like self-massage or a myofascial release. But It's really great if you get really tight calves, if you wear high heels a lot. I know that a lot of us aren't wearing high heels a lot at the moment because we've all been in some sort of lockdown. But yeah, and again for cycling, you can get really tight calves on the cycling. And I do have quite big or muscly calf muscles, and they're genetic. It's not through work, they're from my mother. And my calves get really tight. And I know if I ever have a massage and I touch my calves, I'm just about jumping off the table. So this is a really nice way to do a little bit of self-massage, and it's a really easy pose you can do at home at any time. You are going to need your blanket for this. So if you've got your blanket, I want you to take your blanket and fold it in half, and then fold it in a long rectangle shape. And then from here, you're going to roll it up as tight as you can, like a sausage roll. Effectively, my blanket's got some little tassels on the end of it, but that doesn't matter. And then from here, as tight as you can. If you've got a foam roller would also work for this really well as well. You're going to come back up onto the knees, and you're going to place the blanket or whatever it is that you've got back onto your shins. And you do want to make sure it's quite tight, otherwise you're not going to really feel it so much. And then it's just a matter of sitting back. Yep. On the blanket, and you'll feel it. If you're like me, you're going to feel it. Again, to take a little bit of weight out of that, the intensity out of it, if you've got a block or a book or even a cushion, you could place that up on top of it and sit back. My block's quite high, so that's not really going to work for me, but you can sort of lift your hips up a little higher, and that will take some of the intensity out of it. You can also move the blanket around, so there might be a place that feels a little more intense than another spot. So just find that spot where you want to rest it, and then come back into it. And in your own time, you could do this for a couple of minutes and move the blanket around, hold it for a couple of minutes in one location, and then find the next, and then sit back on it. Again, it's like a little pressure point massage, myofascial release. Just really getting stuck into those calves. And like we did with the previous pose, close your eyes, try to relax your face, try to relax your jaw. This is super intense for me, I'm not going to lie. Relax your hands, relax your shoulders, and come back to your breath. Big breaths in. Long breaths out. Inhaling and exhaling. Few more rounds. Inhale here and an exhale to empty. And again, big breath in. Big breath out. Last time. Breathe in. And exhale to let it go. This time on the inhale breath, coming up onto the hands and knees, and then just removing the prop, whatever it is that you had on your shins. Nice work. And then just feel the release in the legs. Coming back onto your hands and knees, and then from here, just taking your hands about shoulder width apart. Tuck your toes. You may even want to walk your hands slightly forward in front of your wrists. Tuck your toes and find your downward facing dog. From down dog, take a moment to adjust. So just setting yourself up in your stance. Just need to straighten my mat out. So feet are about hip width apart, hands are about shoulder width apart, spreading your fingers out nice and wide, and then everybody put a bend in your knees. So forget about this being a hamstring stretch and trying to get your heels to the mat. You're actually trying to find extension through the spine. So a little bend in your knees, particularly if you've got a tight hamstring, is going to help you to find that nice straight back. And it might be a big bend in your knees if your hamstrings are super tight. But one way or the other, you're going to have a bend in the knees. Arms are straight.
And your ears are in line with your upper arms, which means the crown of the head is going to point forward and down, and your chin's tucked in slightly, so you're looking back between your legs. From here, pull the pit of the belly in, pull the belly button in, and breathe. Inhaling and exhaling. You may even want to bend one knee, doesn't matter whether it's the left or the right, and press the other heel down to the mat now. And really start to open up through the back of that leg. It may be the left leg or the right leg. Hold it there for a couple of breaths and release. Bend the opposite knee and press the other heel down towards the earth. Again, you hold it for a couple of breaths and maybe just do it one more time on both sides. And you'll feel that little bit of activation from the feet and the calves that we just did. Once you've done it one more time through on both sides, come back to downward facing dog. Put the little bend back in the knees. Pull pit of belly in, pull belly button in, lift it all back up to the top of your head. Take a full breath in here and a full breath out. This time on an inhale breath, come forward into a high plank position, high push-up position. If a high push-up position and mind my mopper hair is a little too much for you, you're welcome to drop the knees down onto the mat. They don't have to be up. So notice whether you're struggling in your high push-up already. If your hips are sagging, you're probably best to drop your knees down. Again, there's no right or wrong and no one can see you. So just working with what you've got. Don't worry about what you haven't. Take a big breath in here and then exhale. Everybody drop knees down and very slowly lower all the way to the mat. Try to lower down with control. From here, your hands are down towards your lower ribs. They're not out in front of you, your shoulders. They're behind your shoulders. You're going to press the tops of the feet down and drop the forehead and the chin onto the mat, or the chin onto the mat. Press the tops of the feet. On an inhale breath, lift up the head, chest and shoulders only. Keep the elbows bent, cobra pose. And then exhale, drop the forehead back to the mat. On an inhale breath, lift the head, chest, shoulders up. Keep the elbows bent. Keep the chin in. Exhale, release, lower. One more, just like that. Inhale, lift the head, chest and shoulders up. Keep the elbows bent. Press the tops of the feet down. Exhale, release. Tuck your toes. Lift back to downward facing dog. Take a full breath in here. And a long breath out. And again, big breath in. And a big breath out. This time, step your right foot forward to your right hand and drop your left knee down onto the mat. You may have to take a couple of steps to get your right foot forward. You want your right ankle underneath your right knee. If you are on a hard surface, on polished floorboards, you may want to roll your mat in a couple of times and pad that back knee. You can also use your blanket or a cushion or whatever you've got just to pad that back knee, because you want to look after your knees. And sometimes on hard surface when you're in a lunge and the knee's down, it gives them a little bit of a bashing. So feel free to pad that back knee. And then again, right ankle under right knee, left leg is long, and you're going to come up onto your fingertips and just lift the heart up and look forward to the front of your mat or wherever it is that you're looking out. Maybe you're looking out of the window, whatever it is, you're looking forward and out and feeling it through the front of the back leg, this time the left leg. Again, big breath in here and a long breath out. One more inhale breath here, nice work. This time on an exhale, you're going to straighten your right leg and we come into what we call half Hanuman pose or half monkey pose, effectively half splits. So again, if you've got that padding under the back knee, no drama, you can keep it there. Right leg is now straight-ish. It may not be completely straight depending on your hamstrings, so you may have a bend in the knee. It's
no right or wrong. Hands at either side of the right foot. And you want to watch that right hip is not swinging out to the right-hand side of the room. So you think about dragging your right hip back and your left hip slightly forward so the hips are squared to the back of the mat. If you can, you extend your hands forward towards your foot. And it may be really challenging for you to get your hands down on the mat if your hamstrings are super tight. So again, if you've got a couple of books or a couple of props, you could lift yourself up by using the props. Lift yourself up a little higher, one under each hand. But if you don't, doesn't matter. Just work with what you've got. Holding it here and breathing into the back of that right leg. Full breath in and a full breath out. And again, inhale and an exhale. This time take an inhale breath here, and on an exhale I want you to take both hands over to your right, so on the outside of your right leg. So the leg hasn't changed, you've started to bring the hands to the right though. And your right foot might turn out slightly, that's okay, doesn't matter. It's just really starting to get into the IT band here a little bit. So for some of you who have IT band issues, you might feel this more than others. Again, if your right leg's not straight, it doesn't matter. As you can see, mine's not completely straight. Again, you're holding it here for a breath in and a breath out. Nice work, everybody. Big breath in. Long breath out. One more. Inhale. This time on the exhale, bring the hands back either side of the right foot. Bend your right knee. Plant your hands down. Tuck your left toes and step back to downward facing dog. If you use just some sort of padding for your knee on that side, leave it there, or maybe just pull it over to the other side of the back because you're going to use it on the other side. Just take a moment in down dog, adjust your feet, reset, refocus. Take an inhale breath and an exhale. Then step your left foot forward to your left hand and drop your right knee down. Again, if you have to take a couple of steps to get that right foot forward, do that. This time left ankle is underneath the right. If you haven't done my classes before, I sometimes get my left and rights mixed up, so I'm giving you fair warning now. Left ankle underneath left knee. Right leg this time is nice and long. Come back up onto fingertips and then looking forward, lifting the heart and opening up the chest and the collarbones towards the front of your mats. And if you have a nice view, enjoy that view. Allow the hips and the pelvis to sink forward and down towards the mat and feel it through the front of the right leg this time. So into the psoas muscle, into the hip flexor. Breathing in and breathing out. Again, full breath in here and a big breath out. One more, inhale. This time on the exhale, straighten the left leg, so coming into a half splits, half Hanuman pose. And you can actually point the toes here or flex the foot. There's no right or wrong as long as you've got that foot active. I prefer to flex my foot, to pull the toes in towards my shin. Again, your left hip this time will want to swing to the left. So think about dragging it back to the back of your mat and your right hip forward towards the front to square the hips off. If you're using a block or a prop either side of the leg, feel free to add those in and lift yourself up. Otherwise, just using what you've got and going with where you're at. Don't worry, no one can see you. As I said, it doesn't matter what it looks like. Doesn't matter whether that left leg is straight. Wherever you are, breathe into the back of the left leg. You may even want to close your eyes and you can drop your chin into your chest a little bit. Try to think about keeping some extension through the spine. The back does want to round, but think about taking your heart to your toes to keep length through the spine. Breathing in here and breathing out. Again, inhale. And exhale. This time taking your hands on the outside of your left leg, keeping the leg where it is. So hands come to the outside of the left leg. And not only are you going to feel it in your IT band, you also, if you're like me, will get a little stretch through the side of the body. Coming back to your breath. Breathing in. And out. Again, inhale. And exhale. Last time here, big breath in. And then exhale, hands back either side of your left foot. Bend your left knee. Tuck your back toes. Step back to downward facing dog. Nice work. Take a moment to reset. Come back in. If you have a blanket or something underneath or on your mat, just place into that to one side. And then again, finding stillness in your down dog. Take an inhale breath here. Long breath to empty. And then from here, you're going to step your right foot forward to your right hand and drop your left knee down onto your left heel down onto the mat. So your left foot's at about a 45-degree angle. Look back at your left foot, if you like, and just check that it's on about a 45-degree angle. Right knee is underneath the right ankle. And then on an inhale breath, you reach the arms high to the sky. And then exhale, you're going to open out into Warrior Two. I'm just going to spin around and face you. It's going to go the other way. So right knee on top of right ankle. Left foot is on an angle. It's not completely parallel to the back of the mat, and it's not pointing back to the back of the mat either. It's turning in slightly. Arms are reaching out to opposite sides of the room. If you can, you're going to sit a little lower into that lunge. So you want to come out to something that looks like that. This with a straight leg. That's a different pose, which you're about to go into in a minute. And sort of not in that half lunge either. You're trying to aim eventually to get that right thigh parallel to the earth. It may not be there for you today though, but that's where you're going. And if you think this is tough on your thighs, just think about that climb. Your favourite climb or your hard ride. Gaze goes back to the end of the middle finger. You're pressing down through the outside edge of that back foot and you're lifting the inner arch of the back foot, so the left leg is working just as much as the right. Take an inhale breath here and an exhale. This time on an inhale breath, straighten your right leg, hold it here for the exhale. Take another inhale breath and exhale, start to reach your right arm as far forward as you can, up slightly, and then drop your right hand down, triangle pose, Trikonasana. Left arm goes straight up in line with left shoulder. Your right hand is resting on your ankle maybe if you're a little bit more advanced in your practice, or your shin, it may be in closer to the knee. But try not to lean too much into that right hand, so take the weight out of the right hand and reach up out of the left. Try not to lock the knees out, so you might have to put a micro bend in that right knee, or lift both kneecaps up. Take an inhale breath here. You can look wherever you like as long as you're not straining your neck. Again, big breath in as you reach up out of the left hand and a long breath out. One more, big breath in. And then exhale, bend your right knee, come back to Warrior Two. On the inhale breath, straighten both feet. And then exhale, pivot your feet towards your left. If you need to turn around onto the mat so you can see me, feel free to do that. You're going to come into a wide-legged stance and you're going to pigeon toe your toes slightly. You may have to take your feet a little wider. You may need to shorten your legs. From here, so pigeon toe your toes, take your hands to your hips. On an inhale breath, lift your heart up. And on the exhale, start to take your heart forward and down towards the earth, dropping your hands down onto the mat, just in front of you for the moment. Now I want you to keep your legs as they are, but start to walk your arms forward. So your arms are straight out in front of you. And it's like you're in a super wide downward facing dog pose. Again, it doesn't matter if your knees have a bend in them and you can't straighten your legs, that's perfectly fine. But try to find that really wide-legged downward facing dog.
So not only are you getting a nice stretch with the hamstrings and the adductors, but you're also getting a nice opening through the upper back and along the spine. Again, arms are straight, hands are about shoulder width apart, ears in line with upper arms. Holding it here, breathing in and breathing out. Again, full breath in and a full breath out. One more, inhale. On the exhale, bring your wrists back underneath your shoulders, so line them up with your shoulders. On an inhale breath, lift up onto your fingertips, so lift up halfway, and then exhale, bring your hands to your hips. If you need to put a little bend in your knees, put a little bend in your knees. On an inhale breath, rise up with a straight back. Nice work. And then exhale, pivot your feet back to the front of your mat. Drop your hands down and step back to downward facing dog. Nice work. Take a moment, reset in down dog. Take an inhale breath. Waiting where you are for the exhale. And then step your left foot forward to your left hand. Drop your right heel down onto the mat. Inhale, reaching your arms high to the sky. And then exhale, opening out to your warrior two. So this time that right foot's on a slight angle. Left toes are pointing forward, left knees on top of left ankle. Arms reaching out to opposite sides of the room. Then you take your gaze over the end of the middle finger of the left hand. Again, left leg is nice and straight, and you press into the outside of that left leg and you lift the inner arch up. So just feel for whether the foot's rolling in. If it is, lift the inner arch up and watch your left knee. You want to push your left knee back to your left pinky toe. I should say your right leg's straight and your left knee's bent. Okay, so left knee back to left pinky toe. Lift the inner arch of the right foot up. Look straight ahead over the left hand. Take an inhale breath here. And your exhale. This time on the inhale breath, straighten your left leg. Exhale, reach forward slightly up. Drop your left hand down. Right arm high, finding Trikonasana, triangle pose. And you may just have to adjust your stance here a little bit. This one is a little tight on my left glute. So I'm just come back out of it again, and I'll come back down into it. Whoops, actually I've got a cramp in my left glute. You guys just staying here with the right hand high, left hand down. There we go. Again, try not to lean in the left hand. So you'll find that you just want to collapse. You want to reach up out of the right. So you're engaging your obliques. So you're using your core as well as your legs and lifting up out of the right hand, looking wherever it works for you. Little bend maybe in that left knee to stop it from locking out, or lift the left kneecap up. Full breath in here and a full breath out. And again, big breath in here, waiting for the exhale. One more, inhale, and then exhale, bend your left knee back to warrior two, look straight ahead. On the inhale breath, straighten the legs. Exhale, pivot the feet back towards the side of your mat, coming back into that wide-legged stance. Pigeon toe the toes slightly. This time you're going to take your hands behind your back and interlace your fingers together. If that doesn't work for you, if you know that doesn't work for you and you've got a hand towel or a belt or something handy or even a t-shirt, you're welcome to use that. So again, wide-legged stance, toes slightly pigeon-toed. Interlace the fingers if you can. On an inhale breath, lift the heart up, reach the hands towards the earth. And then on an exhale, you're going to fold forward. Same as we did this last time, but this time your hands, if your fingers are interlaced, you're just letting your hands come away from your hips, moving over towards the earth. And they may not go very far at all, depending on your shoulders. But you just want to take them away from your hips and let gravity do the rest. Again, if your legs aren't straight, it doesn't matter. Regardless of whether your legs are straight or have a bend in them, press through the outside edges of the feet and lift your inner arches up. Let the crown of the head hang straight down. You may even want to give it a little wiggle from side to side. Take a big breath in here and a long breath out. And again, full breath in. This time, exhale, release you did previously. On the inhale breath, lift up onto the fingertips, lengthen through the back, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to your hips, little bend in your knees. On an inhale breath, with a straight back, rise up. Exhale, pivot your feet back to the front of the mat and step back to downward facing dog. Just readjust here for a breath in. And then exhale, come down onto your knees. Bring your knees together, your feet together. Drop your hips back down towards your heels and find child's pose, and just drop your elbows onto the earth. You could also take your hands down beside your feet with the palms up as well. So dropping down into child's pose. Nice work, everybody. Well done. Just coming into the breath here and letting go of what we have just done. And find a little bit of rest. From here, on an inhale breath, coming back up onto your hands and knees and stacking your wrists underneath your shoulders and your knees under your hips. So your knees are going to be about hip width apart and hands are about shoulder width apart. You could tuck your toes here if you'd like, or you can keep the toes untucked. There's no right or wrong. From here, I want you to straighten your arms, but try not to lock the elbows out. Pull pit of belly in, pull belly button in, lift everything to the top of your head. On an inhale breath, arch your back, lift your chin right up, open up the collarbones towards the front of your mat. On an exhale breath, round your back, tuck your chin right into your chest, pull the belly button right back into the spine. And do those 2 more times, just like that. Inhale, arching the back, the butt lifts up, your chin lifts up, open up the collarbones, the shoulders towards the front of the room. Exhale, round the back, tuck the chin in, pull the belly button back into the spine. And again, inhale, arching as you lift. Exhale, rounding. On the inhale breath, come back to a neutral spine, so a straight back. And then from here, you are going to walk, keep your knees where they are. We're going to come into a pose called melting heart pose, which is a beautiful stretch to open up the upper back and the shoulders and the chest, the heart and the lungs. So great post bike. If you've been for a ride this morning, awesome ride to open up the upper back, because we spend so much time like this. Even though we're supposed to have a straight back on the bike, we spend a lot of it like this. So it's a beautiful pose to do straight bike. It can be intense, so I'll show you a couple of variations of it, depending on how open you are through the upper back. So you stay on your hands and knees to start, and knees and hips are in a straight line. So try not to let the hips come forward or your butt go back. So keep them stacked. And then from here, it's just simply a matter of extending your arms as far forward as you can. And once you've extended them forward, the chest starts to come down towards the earth. Now, if you're open enough and your chest comes down to the earth, the chin might get there, the forehead might get there. If you're not quite as open as that, you may be somewhere here. That's okay, you're still going to get a little stretch. You want to just keep the chin in if that's the case, and just allow the chest to soften to the mat, wherever that might be. Again, if you're a little bit more open, the chest might come down, the chin might come down, the forehead might come down here. You're not here for a super long time, but just find your variation and breathe into your variation. Try to relax your face. You can relax your belly and just breathe. very slowly. You can either slide forward if that works for you, or pull yourself back, but eventually you're going to come down onto your stomach. So however you get to your stomach is fine. There's sort of no right or wrong way to come out of that. And from here, you're just going to make a little pillow with your forearms and rest your forehead on your forearms for a moment. If you prefer, you could even take your hands down beside your hips, spin one cheek to the mat, and close your eyes and just relax that upper back. Let it go. Wherever you are, just coming or lifting out of that and coming onto your, staying on your stomach, but bringing your forehead or your chin down to the mat and taking your hands down beside your hips if they're not already there, but this time spinning the palms over so the palms face the mat. Again, forehead or chin drops. You're going to press the tops of the feet down. You're going to press the hands into the earth. And on an inhale breath, lift the head, chest and shoulders up off the earth. But keep the hands and the feet down and keep the chin in so the crown of the head is coming forward and the neck is long. Take a full breath in here. You might be able to lift a little higher, but keep the chin in and stay for the exhale. Again, big breath in. This time exhale, releasing, and swap your right cheek to the mat. Close your eyes. Let it go. From here, bring your forehead or your chin back to the mat. And we're going to reach our arms forward this time. So we're going to do a variation of what we just did there, which is called locust pose in yoga, or the Sanskrit name Shalabhasana. But it's really just a really beautiful strengthening pose for all the muscles along the upper back, and it's a baby back bend. So this is a variation of that. So arms forward, legs down, like we've been doing. From here, I want you to lift your right arm up and your left leg up. So opposite arm to opposite leg. Head is off the earth. Look forward and down. So chin is in. Take a big breath in here and then exhale, lower those down. Forehead drops back down to the mat. On an inhale breath, lift your left arm, right leg, head off the earth, but keep the chin in. Stay here for the exhale. Take another inhale breath here and exhale, release the forehead, the arm and leg down. Now we move a little faster. On an inhale breath, right arm, left leg, head lifts up. Exhale, release. Inhale, left arm, right leg, head lifts. Exhale, lower. We keep moving like that. Inhale, right arm, left leg, head lifts. Exhale, release. Inhale, left arm, right leg, chin stays in, head lifts. Exhale, lower down. One more round. Inhale, right arm, left leg, lift up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left arm, right leg. Exhale, release. Again, hands down beside the hips. Palms face up. Left cheek comes to the mat. Let it go. Relax the breath. Let it go. And then from here, we're going to stay on our stomach. We're going to lift yourself up onto your elbows. So you're going to stack your elbows underneath your shoulders. So just notice whether your elbows are forward here and bring them back underneath your shoulders. The palms of the hands face down. And fingers spread them out nice and wide. From here, I want you to think about pressing your forearms down and pulling your chest forward to the front of the mat. So it's like you're taking your chest through your arms. You're looking forward and down, so you're not trying to lift the head up and jarring the neck. forward and down. At the same time, press down through the tops of the feet and your pubic bone just to take the pressure out of your lower back as you keep pulling your chest forward. Press forearms down and pull the chest forwards. Here for a breath in and a breath out. One more big breath in and then exhale. Release the forehead down to the mat. Take your hands down to your lower ribs with the fingers pointing forwards. On an inhale breath, lift up to baby cobra pose. Exhale, tuck your toes, lift back to downward facing dog. Nice work, everybody. Take an inhale breath here and then exhale back onto your knees. You've made it. You've almost made it to the mat. From here, we're going to do a couple of hip opening poses. Well, one on either side, and just a gentle one, so don't panic if you've got tight hips. And then we're going to come into a twist, and then we come into our Shavasana, which is our deep relaxation. So you're nearly there. Well done. So the first pose we're going to come into is called deer pose. So you're going to come onto your bottom, and you're going to bend your right knee, so your right shin is parallel with the front of the mat, and I'll just spin around this way. So right shin comes parallel to the front of the mat. Then your left knee, you're going to bend that as well, but you're going to take the foot back behind you, so the foot is in towards the hip. Okay, and I'll turn around, so actually that's a better view. There we go. So right shin is parallel, and left knee is behind you with the foot back behind you as well. So if your hips are a little more open, you may be able to take that knee further away from your right foot, the left knee further away. If they're a little tighter, you're probably going to have it in closer to the foot. Again, there's no right or wrong way. Then from here, it's simply just a matter of coming forward as best you can. Some of you might be able to get down onto the forearms, but some of you might be up a little higher. Now, I'm going to spin around the other way and just show you something from here. If you find that you're sort of doing this and you're leaning to your right, you probably want to grab your blanket or your pillow and lift yourself up onto that blanket. So you'll place it under the right hip or the right butt, and then you'll bring yourself back up into a more square shape, and then you'll be able to come forward. So if you find you're tilting, leaning to the right, put something underneath your right butt cheek and lift yourself up. Then find your fold in the pose, whatever that looks like for you. And letting go of the breath now. So the belly is soft, your face is soft, your mouth is closed, and you're just breathing in and out through the nose. There's no struggle, hopefully. Take a full breath in here and a full breath out. This time on the inhale breath, just slowly lifting yourself up and transitioning into the opposite side. So this time, and I'll spin around the other way, left shin will come parallel with the mat, right knee will bend and the foot will go back behind you. Again, if you find you're leaning, you're tilting over to your left, place something underneath the left hip, the left butt, and lift yourself up. And then finding again your way forward, and don't expect it to necessarily feel the same on this side. It could be completely different. So you might not be able to come down as far, you might be able to go down further. So just adjusting as you need and finding your spot. When you get there, come back into a soft breath. And just feel the inhale breath flutter in through the nostrils, and the same on the exhale. Take a full breath in where you are and a full breath out. This time on the inhale breath, slowly walk your hands back in towards you and just spinning your legs around to the front of your mat. Give your legs a little shake out and then slowly lowering yourself back onto your mat. From here, bending your knees, planting your feet into the earth, reaching your arms out to opposite sides of the room. If you prefer, you could take cactus arms. So elbows out to the sides of the room and hands go back, up to you. And just drop your knees over to your right, finding a simple twist. Knees go to the right and look back over your left shoulder. Close your eyes. If you want to intensify it a little bit, you could take your right foot and place it on top of your left knee and gently guide that left knee down to the mat. And you'll get a little twist through the spine, also an opening through the side body, and depending on your glutes, your hip, you'll get it on the outer glute area, outer hip as well. Lower back, letting the breath go again completely, softening everything down. From here on an inhale breath, slowly lift the knees back up to center. Just take a moment in the center, readjust the feet. And then slowly drop the knees over to the left and you look over your right shoulder. And same thing again here. If you want to intensify a little bit, you can take your left foot and place it on top of your right knee and the pressure of the foot. You don't need to force it, but the pressure of the foot just gently guides that right knee down. I can sort of feel it here in this area. Outer left hip, right hip area, little bit into the glute and also in the lower back. Once again, relax the breath, close your eyes, slow it down. And again, on the inhale breath, slowly lift the legs back up. Take a moment with the feet on the mat and the knees bent. And then straighten both legs, setting up for your final pose, your deep rest. So if you have a blanket, it is nice to make sure you're warm when you're in your deep rest. So you might want to take your blanket and place the blanket on top of you. If you've got a pair of socks, you may want to grab your socks and slip those over your feet so you're warm. Once you've done all of those little things, you may want to adjust your clothing so you're lying down on your mat. And you take your feet and let them go to the edges of your mat. Your hands are down beside your hips. They're a little wider than your hips with the palms facing up. Then lift your head up off the earth and tuck your chin into your chest. Keep the chin in and lower the head back down onto the mat. And you've just created some length along the back of the neck there. Then let your feet flop
and your fingers curl up. And to start off with, feel for a full breath into the chest and then exhale into your navel center and pulling the belly button back into the spine as you go. So a little bit of dynamic breath. It's not too dynamic, but you're feeling on the inhale for the rise of the chest, the expanding of the upper back, everything lifts up. And on the exhale, the breath goes into the navel center and the belly pulls back into the spine. Continuing on with that breath for the moment. Eyes are closed, face is soft. And then over a count of 10, you gradually let go of that breath. 9. So the breath becomes softer. 7. 6. 5. Eventually it starts to disappear altogether. 3, 2, and 1. So now there's really no breath. It's very soft, it's very subtle. Allow the body to get really heavy. And letting everything go. If you have more time to stay here and rest, feel free to do that. Otherwise, and you can mute me on your phone. Enjoy a longer Shavasana. Otherwise, if you need to get moving, just keep your eyes closed for the moment and wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Come back into a more normal breath, so deepen the breath. Bring some gentle movement back into your body. And then take your arms over your head, interlace your fingers together. Bring your legs together, point your toes, take a big breath in and press your hands away from you as you point your toes away. Exhale, releasing, bending your knees, roll to your right, curl up into a little ball and stay there. And in your own time, finding your way back up to a comfortable seat. You may want to sit back up on your blanket or a cushion or your block. And when you get there, Finding length through the spine again, so pressing down through the sit bones, lifting up out of the crown of the head, sitting up nice and straight. Hands just rest on your thighs, on your knees with the palms down. Take a moment here, just in stillness, back to where we started. We've come full circle. And feeling for change, feeling for the difference from the start to now. It doesn't have to be any difference, and there's no right or wrong, it's just being aware. And then from here, just bringing your hands into a prayer position at the center of your chest, and drop your head down to your hands for a moment, just in a sign of gratitude for your practice, what your body just did for you and what it does for you every day on and off the bike. And from here, just gently fluttering open your eyes, dropping your hands down to your legs again, palms down. And that is the end of the class. In a normal yoga class setting, we would say namaste, but I know some of you are a little newer to the practice, so I'm just going to leave that out at the moment, but namaste to those people who do practice regularly. Thank you for joining me. If you have any feedback, suggestions or comments as regards to that class, please let me know. If you have any suggestions for future classes, things you'd like to work on, let me know. As I said, that class was quite a simple practice, but for some of you who are a little newer to the practice, it may not have been simple. I get that. So thank you for going with it. And it was designed just to give you a little bit of a taste into a couple of different poses and into different body parts. So we did mainly worked on opening up that back line. So all of those leg poses we did, and even the ones where we're on our stomach doing the locust poses, the lifting up, they were working all of that back chain of the body. So there was a theme throughout it, but we also at the same time targeted our legs and also our upper back, etc., with some of those heart opening poses, and then the hips towards the end. So you've got a little bit of a taste tester all over the body, for want of a better description. Again, any comments, suggestions, feedback, please let me know. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again next week. As I said, I will mix the classes up a little bit. Sometimes they won't be as structured as this, and we might break down some poses and get stuck into some different body parts a little more, just depending on what people are interested in and what people are wanting to do. Yeah, so have a great day or evening wherever you are, and I will see you soon. Take care, happy riding, and stay safe. Ciao for now.